It is midsummer and your garden is in its prime. Your cucumbers are sprawling and your roses are blooming, but then you see it, a ghostly white film creeping across the leaves. Gardeners call this the White Death, and it is a full-blown fungal invasion that can turn a prize-winning harvest into a shriveled graveyard in days. The chemical industry has a quick, expensive answer: toxic sprays that cost a fortune and poison your soil. But the truth is, simpler: a single spoonful of baking soda from your kitchen can halt this plague cold. It isn't magic, it's simple chemistry that the big chemical companies don't want you to focus on. The biology of the White Death. To beat this enemy, you have to understand its biology. Powdery mildew isn't just a nuisance dusting of flour. It is a living, breathing organism with one goal: to feed on your hard work. In your home garden, the most common culprit is Potosphaera xanthii, a fungus that aggressively targets cucumbers, squash, pumpkins, and melons. If you grow roses, you are likely fighting Diplocarpon rosei, the cause of the dreaded black spot. These pathogens are highly specialized invaders. Unlike many other plant diseases, they don't even need rain to spread. They thrive in warm, humid air and only require the light dew of a summer morning to germinate. They don't invade the deep tissue of the plant. Instead, they send out thread-like structures called hyphae across the leaf surface, acting like tiny straws that suck water and nutrients directly out of the plant's cells. Under a microscope, an infected leaf looks like a crowded, chaotic city. These fungi form a fine mat that shelters them from wind and sun, using the leaf's stomata breathing pores to spread rapidly. A single infected leaf can pump out thousands of spores in just a few days, which then drift on the slightest breeze to infect every other host in your yard. The secret of pH: how baking soda kills. The real secret of these fungi is their preference for a very specific environment. They thrive on leaf surfaces that are neutral or slightly acidic, usually between 5.5 and 7.0 on the pH scale. This matches the natural state of most garden leaves, providing a perfect window for spores to stick and germinate. When you reach for baking soda sodium bicarbonate, you are launching a chemical counterattack. When dissolved in water, baking soda creates a solution with a pH of about 8.3. For powdery mildew, this is hostile territory. The moment the fungus hits that alkaline environment, it experiences a massive cellular shock. At the molecular level, a process called plasmolysis occurs. When exposed to the alkaline solution, the fungal cell wall cannot handle the change. Water rushes out of the cell, the membrane pulls away from the wall, and the entire cell collapses in on itself. The fungus doesn't die from poison. It literally dries out and loses its structure. This is why baking soda works best as a preventative or at the very first sign of infection. Once the fungus has already destroyed the plant tissue, the collapsed cells cannot be revived. The proof: the industry can't hide. This isn't just a hack from the internet. It was proven in the late 1980s at Cornell University. Dr. R. Kenneth Horst, a professor of plant pathology, put this kitchen staple to the test. His team treated roses and cucurbits with a 1% sodium bicarbonate solution mixed with a small amount of horticultural oil to help it stick. The results were undeniable. Over multiple growing seasons, they saw an 85% to 95% reduction in powdery mildew. In many cases, this $1 box of powder matched or even outperformed leading industrial fungicides like copper or synthetic chemicals like chlorothalonil. Black spot on roses dropped by as much as 90%. Despite this massive success, you won't see this formula on the front shelf of your local garden center because you cannot patent baking soda. The economics of the chemical aisle. The reason for the silence isn't science, it's economics. Baking soda is a commodity that has been in the public domain for over a century. There is no way for a company to lock in a massive profit margin on a product they don't own. Compare that to the blue jugs on the shelf. Chlorothalonil was patented by agrochemical giants in the 1960s, allowing for decades of exclusive high-priced sales. A single bottle can cost you $25 or more, promising weeks of protection. These products are engineered for repeat purchase, backed by marketing budgets that dwarf anything spent on publicizing a kitchen remedy. The marketplace rewards complexity and exclusivity over the cheap, safe solutions that actually work. The nuclear option versus the sniper. When you use broad-spectrum synthetic chemicals, you're doing more than just killing mildew. You are launching a wildfire in your garden's ecosystem. These chemicals wipe out entire communities of beneficial fungi in the soil. Among the first casualties is trichoderma, a microscopic ally that shields plant roots from disease. Studies show that just one round of chlorothalonil can crash trichoderma populations by 90%. Mycorrhizal fungi, which help your plants survive drought and soak up nutrients, can see their numbers fall by half. Copper-based sprays are even worse because they never truly go away. They build up in the topsoil year after year. In long-term trials, copper levels have reached 100 to 500 milligrams per kilogram, far above safe limits for earthworms and vital microbes. This slow sterilization turns your thriving soil into a barren landscape dominated by bacteria. Baking soda is different. It is a sniper. It stays on the leaf where the infection is and breaks down quickly. It hits the pathogen at the front line but leaves the life-giving network in your soil untouched. This targeted approach ensures your garden remains a resilient ecosystem rather than a weakened foundation. The master formula for success. To save your garden and your soil, you need the right balance. Precision ensures you kill the fungus without burning your plants. The recipe: 1 gallon of water. This is your carrier. 2, 1 tablespoon of baking soda. Measure it level, not heaping. This keeps the concentration at a safe 0.35% to 0.40%, enough to shift the pH without risking leaf burn. 3, 1 teaspoon of liquid dish soap. This is the surfactant. It breaks the surface tension so the spray spreads evenly across the waxy leaf instead of just rolling off. 4, 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. This acts as a sticker, helping the solution cling to the leaf for days through wind and light dew. Preparation: mix the ingredients thoroughly until the solution is completely smooth. There should be no grit at the bottom of your sprayer to cause clogs. Professional application protocol. Even a perfect recipe requires the right technique. The 24-hour test. Before you spray everything, test one healthy leaf. If there is no yellowing or browning after 24 hours, you're good to go. Timing is everything. Never spray in the heat of the midday sun. The combination of oil, alkalinity, and intense sunlight can cause phototoxicity, essentially a chemical sunburn. Always spray in the evening or on a cloudy day. Consistency is key. Spores are released every few days, so you need to reapply once a week or after heavy rain. If you see signs of leaf stress, simply dilute the mix a bit more for the next round. The choice is yours. Do you want more expensive chemicals or do you want more knowledge? The answer has been in your pantry all along. Try this formula and see how it transforms your garden's health while protecting the world beneath the surface. One of the most common mistakes gardeners make is treating powdery mildew as a single uniform problem. The white coating may look the same, but how it affects plants and how plants respond varies widely by crop. Using one universal solution often leads to inconsistent results. Cucurbits, cucumbers, squash, pumpkins, melons are the most vulnerable group. Their large, soft leaves and rapid growth make them prone to imbalance. Powdery mildew usually appears first on older lower leaves where airflow is weakest. The key point is this cucurbits can continue producing well even with moderate mildew pressure. The goal is not spotless leaves, but maintaining enough healthy leaf surface to support fruit development. In practice, removing heavily infected lower leaves and applying baking soda early often works better than trying to save the entire canopy. Cucurbits are also sensitive to salt buildup. For these plants, baking soda must be used at lower concentrations and with reasonable intervals. Overuse causes more harm than the mildew itself. Roses and woody ornamentals behave differently. Their leaves are thicker, growth is slower, and mildew often appears alongside black spot. Baking soda helps suppress surface spores, but long-term control depends more on pruning and airflow. Roses need open structure. If air cannot move through the plant, no spray will solve the problem. A properly thinned rose bush often requires half as many treatments as a dense one. Tomatoes are less commonly affected, but when mildew appears, it usually signals water stress or nutrient imbalance rather than simple exposure. Baking soda can help, but correcting deep watering practices and reducing late-season nitrogen is often more important. A balanced tomato plant tolerates mildew far better than a stressed one. Small fruit crops, grapes, berries require the most caution. Many are sensitive to alkaline leaf surfaces. Baking soda should be used sparingly at low concentrations and only after careful testing. In these systems, canopy thinning and early morning sun exposure often provide better control than repeated spraying. The takeaway is simple. Baking soda is not a cure, it is a support tool. Each crop requires a different strategy for dosage frequency and canopy management. Experienced growers don't ask, "What should I spray?" They ask, "Where is this plant losing balance?" Protecting soil, microbial life, while controlling leaf disease. How to treat the problem without weakening the foundation. Most of the fight against powdery mildew happens on leaves, but the long-term consequences are felt in the soil. This is where many fast solutions cause quiet damage. Soil microbial life is not abstract. It is a working system. Mycorrhizal fungi extend root reach. Decomposer fungi recycle organic matter. Beneficial bacteria regulate nutrient flow and stress signaling. Broad-spectrum fungicides don't discriminate. They reduce fungal populations across the board, weakening the very systems that help plants resist disease naturally. Used correctly, baking soda has a major advantage. It stays mostly on the leaf surface and breaks down quickly, but that does not mean soil can be ignored. Salt accumulation is the main risk. Sodium bicarbonate decomposes, but sodium itself persists. Repeated spraying with runoff into soil can gradually compact soil structure, reduce oxygen exchange, and suppress sensitive microbes. Practical safeguards include targeted spraying focused on leaf surfaces, avoiding excess runoff, periodic deep watering to flush salts downward. Organic matter restoration after disease pressure is equally important. Finished compost leaf mold or a thin mulch layer helps microbial communities rebound after any intervention. Another overlooked factor is calcium balance. Calcium strengthens plant cell walls and improves resistance to surface fungi. Plants with adequate calcium often experience less mildew, even under favorable conditions. Gypsum or dolomitic lime, applied correctly and based on soil needs, can increase resistance without increasing spray frequency. The larger principle is this: leaf disease management is part of system management. Gardens with living, well-structured soil experience less disease pressure from the beginning. Baking soda is a useful tool when applied with restraint and understanding. Healthy soil is the reason you don't need to rely on it often.
The improved calcium balance results in significantly firmer cell structure, making the leaves far less prone to surface stress.
Disease management is part of a single system, not a separate task.
Healthy soil is the reason tools like baking soda remain occasional aids rather than permanent necessities.